Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We are having a sit down and chat day today because we are recording some content for other YouTube related things between the main channel, the Raw channel, and the lives. It is hard. All of my sessions right now are on camera. And it's hard to know where to put them. So I thought today we could chat a little bit about the deadlift record. That's what people seem to be most excited about. But happy to chat about whatever you guys might want to bring up. Any program-related questions. I know a lot of you have bought my programs, and this is a great place to ask any questions you have about those. And I hope everyone is doing well. Pop in the chat, say hello to each other. Like I've said a number of times, in non-high competition times, when there's only a few hundred people on here, much better time for our actual community to engage with each other. Rather than, say, in the lead up to the Deadlift World Championships, there will be maybe a couple thousand people on here and people who haven't followed the journey the whole way. So please come on, say hello, and yeah, let's get stuck into it. Carrie, hi, Mitch and team. Hope you're all okay. Looking forward to seeing you in Birmingham. This will be my first time at a Giants Live. Will there be an LHBK stall at all? There won't be, but we are getting US distribution set up as we speak. That will allow for free Canadian and free US shipping. Then, after that's set up, we're going to look strongly into UK options to be able to do free UK shipping as well. Once we have inventory in the UK, then we can start to explore these options. But supposedly there's these rules at venues in the UK that you're only allowed to sell merchandise if you give 30% of the gross sales to the venue. Meaning that, you know, if you think you sell a t-shirt for $30 and on that you make 15 and you give 10 to the venue and you have to pay people to be there and you have to ship it across, it's impossible to make money selling merch. So it's not always like that. It's not, I always say, it's not always about making money, but it's certainly not about losing money. So answer is no, but we're hoping to have free UK shipping. You will enjoy the Giants Live show a lot, though. It is a phenomenal experience. It is the best thing to do if you're a strongman fan. You will be blown away. You will be very, very impressed with the production value. And I give my honesty about everything, for better or for worse. And yeah, it will be something special. And hopefully the deadlift makes it even more special. What alternate deadlifts will you be doing to prep, e.g. pause, bench, RDL, whatever? So, obviously this is out of my hands. This is Laws's is going to be his programming. But we're prepping for Strongest Man on Earth. So trap bar deadlifts will have to be a part of it. It'll alternate between trap bar and barbell, and it'll alternate on the barbell between the heavy and more speed-based sessions. Apart from that, he loves giving me pause deadlifts. That's been incredibly successful before. My best pause set, I think I did 380 or 390 kilos for a pause triple. I did that on a live stream. That was really hard. But if I could be in the suit and I could pause 420 or 430, that would be awesome. Of course, the pop of the suit off of the ground helps tremendously. If I could build my raw strength to a point that pop isn't necessarily required, but it's going to add to the strength that I already have. So pause deadlifts will almost certainly be a part of it. Aside from that, a bit of speed work, a bit of heavy work, and trap bar deadlifts. My username, thanks for doing these lives. No problem. Engaging with you guys is part of the beauty of what I'm able to do. I say many times, I don't really care about lifting weights by itself. It's more about what that allows you to do. And this is part of what that allows me to do. So thank you guys very much for joining and being a part of it. Make sure to engage and ask away. Boot says, will you ever visit South Africa? The answer is I would, absolutely. I want to go on an African safari so bad. I was talking to Reno Nell and his wife about this at World's Strongest Man. And it is for sure something that I want to do. The bit that concerns me is I just don't understand the safety there. And coming from a country that is objectively very safe, it makes me apprehensive to go to a country that is sometimes safe, is sometimes not safe, unless I have some sort of chaperone. So maybe Reno could take me on an African safari. Maybe we could do a deadlift session in the desert or something, or in the Sahara, I suppose I should say. Hello, Mats. Thank you very much for popping in. Good to see you. Team Idley also here. Hope everyone is doing well. And Hater, don't forget to leave a like on the live stream. Yes, please, guys. Let's get some more people. 214 people on here right now. Go ahead and like the video. We'll get it out to a few more. Aaron and Walter Strickland saying hello as well. Walter, your videos pop up on my Facebook all the time. So thanks for making content supporting the strength world. The more smaller content creators that we can have that grow over time, the further that this sport's going to get. The pro guys can only take it so far. We have to get those local level guys and the strongman commentators some traction as well. So go ahead and check out Walter Strickland's on Facebook if you haven't already. Andy, good luck with 505. Thank you very much, mate. Fingers crossed. If I can get myself in the same shape I was 2 weeks out from the world, I will pull 505. I feel good. My knee was not great. My back was not great post worlds. I'd say both of those back to 95+%, and I'm ready to work hard again. So I've had some really good, really strong sessions. Last night, I was doing strict press on the log, and I hit 154 kilos for 5 with, I would say, 1 or 2 left in the tank. It was not a maximal effort, and that was without any equipment on. So I could strict press 160 plus for 5 right now with equipment on, out in my mind, and that's up with the best numbers I've ever done. Yeah, building back squat and deadlift naturally, you take a step away from those because you can't hammer those year round. So I'm less confident of where those are at, but I know that I've built them up many times before, and I'll do the same thing. John, hi Mitch. Thanks for doing the lives. Hope everything's working out in the home life. What do you do for deload? Deads are feeling heavy, and I think I'm a bit any suggestions. Yeah, do your deload first of all. I think my rule of thumb is take 50% off of your sets and 30% off of your loads for the first half of the week, and in the second half of the week, take 25% off of your sets and 20% off of your loads, and take that week to rest and recover. But still lift weight. Don't get totally away from it, or it's going to feel strange on the way back. Drop everything back. Make sure you're doing this, I would say, every 6 weeks or so if you're reasonably well trained. If you're a novice, you can go by feel, and it can go 16, 18 weeks. But these people who try to push you around, you're driving yourself straight to burnout and straight to injury. Hello, Hater. Hello from Texas. Hope to meet you someday. Yeah, come out to a show in America. I pride myself on being the most available athlete, even with World's Strongest Man being one of the most difficult times in my life. I still pride myself on being out and available and saying hello to more people than anyone else in a similar position. I was at my stall every day. I was out meeting, greeting fans every single day, and I'll continue to do that every show. So make your way out to one of the shows, and you will definitely see me. Strongest man on earth, not too far from Texas, so maybe you could come say hello out there. Here's a good question. Waleed Chowdhury, how are you going to know you can deadlift 505 when you aren't planning in training? What is the highest you training? Good luck. So you never want to go weight that heavy in training for a variety of reasons. There's an injury risk. You don't want to break a world record. Nothing in training. For ref, when I broke the AXA world record, it was 200, I believe it's 218 kilos. I did 217 kilos in the gym just because psychologically I wanted it to be on the proper state. Now, I know I'll be able to do it based on the speed of a slightly lighter load. So Laws just told me we want between 470 and 480 to move relatively quickly, and that will mean that I can deadlift 505, and that's it. For me, 470 without any hitching at all means that I will be able to do it. So that's going to be my objective. That's going to be my best indication. The answer is I won't know. You don't know until the weight's in your hands, until you've pulled it, until you've tried. So I'm putting myself out there saying that this is my focus, and time will tell. Peyton, I hope you're doing well. Why were your arms green at Worlds? Well, there's something called grip jizz, which is like a colored version of chalk that's it's grippier than chalk is. And I don't exactly know why, but it is. It works a little bit better, not to any huge degree, but to a small degree. So That's why you see guys with pink arms or green arms or whatever it may be. It's this particular type of liquid chalk that all of the pro guys like to use. It's by a company called Team Affinity. I know they're in the UK, and the US, and Canada. So if you want to try it out yourself, then go for your life. But it does turn your arms that color for at least the rest of the day, and even a shower sometimes doesn't get it off. So if you have a normal job where people will think you're strange if you have colored arms, then maybe stick to some normal liquid chalk. Jacob, what strongman events do you think take the longest amount of time to get good at? It always seems to be pressing. I don't really see someone with a bad deadlift then have an unbelievable deadlift over time, but I've seen average log presses over time just continue to creep up and creep up and creep up. I think log because it's just so bulbous and awkward and unfamiliar. Yoke would follow a similar logic to, say, a deadlift. Picking something up off the ground, you're going to get the technique relatively quickly. Small steps will improve it, but it won't take it to different planets. Same thing with yoke. Your first time at yoke is going to be the best indication of how good you'll ever be at yoke because it's just walking with weight. There's no real trick or tip or hack. Where on log, there's a lot of small things to get right to be able to do it well. So I would say log pressing. Justin Johnson, I have problems buying stuff from you since I live in the US. I assume this is a practical problem and not an ethical problem. We have US distribution getting set up right now, so that should alleviate any issues. Right now, there are no consumer tariffs, so that's not an issue. There are no import fees, to my knowledge, so that shouldn't be an issue. There's shipping costs, but we are eliminating that very soon. Stay tuned in the next week or so for US shipping to officially launch. For US shipping to officially launch, and that's when you can jump on and get some stuff at a better deal. Rich, thank you very much for commenting. Hey, Mitch, what's the heaviest you will lift in training for the 505? I will be somewhere between 470 and 480 kilos if prep goes the way I am expecting. James, how much training are you doing in the suit versus raw? What percent? Well, I'll do all of my strongest men on earth training raw and all of my deadlift world champ training in a suit. So I would say 80% will be in a suit, 20% will be raw. But I've done so much raw work. We had the max deadlift last year at Strongest Man on Earth, max deadlift last year at Rogue Invitational, max deadlift without a suit on this year the at the Arnold, and then we had our max deadlift suited at Worlds. I have way more experience out of the suit than in the suit. I'm probably going to get a new suit, although I'm running out of time for that now that I think of it. So anyway, yeah, but 80% will be in the suit, 20% will be out of the suit. T. Miley, I've been working on increasing my work capacity with relatively high volume sets. How would you recommend adding in a new compound lift like deadlifts to a program that didn't have them previously? Well, I would have to ask if you had any sort of hinge pattern in there previously, a good morning, a rack pull, a stiff leg deadlift, something like that. If no, then we got to be careful of spinal erectors, and I would add them in at just lower intensities, and that's going to be the number one thing. You're sore, you will be sore regardless, but volume isn't going to be the determinant. Intensity will be. So make sure your intensity starts as you ease back into it. Understand that you're going to be sore for a handful of days, but that way you're going to minimize injury risk and build that movement pattern back in the safest way possible. Super chat here from the SLK 66. How often do we see updates for 24, 50, 470, etc.? Well, as anyone who watches me probably knows at this stage, I don't hold anything back in terms of my training. So you'll see a deadlift every other week. You'll see a trap bar deadlift every other week. And you'll see every heavy lift I do. You'll see 400, 420, 440, 450, 460, 470, whatever my numbers are that I have to hit, you're going to see them all. Sometimes in YouTube videos, sometimes on live streams, but regardless, they will all be free for you to see and available and across YouTube. So if you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And some of it we might put behind the paywall in the members only section. So I've pinned the comment to join the members only section. Go ahead and jump on there if you want to make sure you stay up to date with all of this. And for a lot of technical information, that's a great place to go as well. Over 100 hours of live Q&As. We have an entire exercise library on there now. Tons of stuff on there on the educational side. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and pop over to the members only side as well. Nordic Power. Hey, Mitchell, do you think it's realistic to go from a 220 kilo squat to a 275 kilo squat in 6 months as a natural intermediate powerlifter? Um, Strength wise, no. But if there's a large technical error that you have at 220 that could be improved, then potentially. But over 6 months, let's say 12-week blocks, 10% on a 12-week block would be unbelievable, and 10% would take you from 220 to 240. Another 10% would take you from 240 to 264-ish. 264 would be like a top number for me. If I were you, and intermediate gives me the impression that you've trained consistently for at least a year and a half, 2 years, I would say 240 would be a phenomenal goal. You should be extremely proud if you're able to hit that. But genetics are a thing. Maybe you're at your max. Maybe your max is well more than that. The important thing is you stick to the process of training hard. You miss no sets. You keep recovery in, and then you can be proud of whatever happens on the day. Here's one. So you're at your 100% today. What would your max deadlift be right now? Um, I could pull right now. I could definitely pull 440. And I think I could do that at any point during the whole year. That's without having a deadlift suit on. That's without deadlift training for a couple of weeks. That's with the come down after Worlds. That's with not being in shape. That's with not eating enough food. That's with on. 440 is just something that I know that I could go out there and hit on any day of the week. Yeah, brother. What do you guess you will weigh in at when attempting 505? Also, if Thor pulls 505 in Germany, how will that affect your plans? It won't really. If Thor pulls 505 in Germany, I'll attempt 506. It makes no difference to me. Um, what will I weigh? Right now, I weigh about 320. I imagine I'll weigh 330 to 335. Not too much heavier than I normally am. Maybe 5 or 10 pounds heavier than when I attempted it in Vegas last year. I don't think I need to be overly huge to pull this number. I think I need to be fitting in my suit really well, in really good shape, and feeling healthy. When I feel heavy and sluggish, I am not stronger. I know other guys start to feel that way, but for me, if I feel light in my feet and explosive and fast, that also makes me feel stronger, and that's when I'm at my best across the board. I'm really fortunate in that way, but that's going to be my goal when I come to Birmingham. All right. Use a proper sliding surface on your tibia bone to make the legendary lift easier. Yeah, maybe I'll have my entire shin just skinned, and you'll see both of my tibias pointing at you as I lock it out. All right, KNZ, Mitch, I'll be at the deadlift champs, hoping to see you pull the record. Ignore the hate because you could definitely do it. I definitely know that I could. Life circumstances absolutely something that's a factor that I need to get sorted out. But week over week, it seems to be I seem to be getting my head around things a bit better. And when I get it 100% on straight, all of my focus will be on that record. Strongest man on earth has me excited and anxious at the same time. Such a heavy comp. Glad to see arm wrestling there as well. It just has me anxious. Just very anxious for that show. Um, I just hope everyone's okay. I hope everyone stays in one piece. I hope it's a great show and it's run well and everything's smooth and the fans have a great experience and it has all the potential, but it also has the potential to be Arnold's 2015 style where some guys' careers are over because of something that happens there. And I think that's why you're seeing some guys choose not to do it, which that will come out over time. I don't know exactly who is and who isn't. I have no insider information, but I know that there's a chunk of the lineup still to be announced. And yeah, time will tell. Felix, what is the breathing technique you use? How long before you pick it up off the floor do you start holding your breath, and do you hold it throughout? So in a deadlift in particular, I'll have the bar away from me. I'll take a big breath in, then I'll roll the bar in, then I'll drop my hips, and now I'm holding it this whole time because you can't breathe when you're down in position. Holding it as I pull, still holding it, I will only breathe out when I am completely locked out. Lucas, hi. What do you think? What are human possibilities and perspective in deadlifting in the next decade? Um, it's so hard to say. I mean, it's nearly 10 years since Eddie pulled 500. It's been beat once by 1 kilo. Lots of guys have tried, but we're creeping up, and there's more and more guys pulling high 400s now than there ever have been. I bet in 10 years' time, we're probably in the 515 to 520 range. It's not going to go bananas. Um, but I would say that, and then we talk about suit improvements and what's allowed in types of bar. With the suits right now, with the types of bar that exist right now, I would say in around the 515 range, maybe. But you just never know. It only takes one freak of nature to be able to pull more. I mean, maybe someone has just very, very strong with a genetic deformity to have short legs and long arms, and their deadlift rocket is that much. You just never know who comes along. The Lalas brothers made a video saying that even if you get this 505, it doesn't make you the strongest man ever. If you get this, would you consider yourself one of the strongest men to ever compete? Yeah, I don't know how else you would define strongest person ever other than the person who has lifted the most weight. So if I've lifted the most weight, I don't see I don't see the argument to the contrary. Um, I have an overhead world record. If I had a deadlift world record as well, you know, strongest competitor ever, I would say yes. To me, it's inarguable. If you have an overhead record and the deadlift record, where I beat Eddie's record on the deadlift and on the overhead, it's hard to say no. But if they want to define it as who could walk into the gym and lift the most weight, Eddie is absolutely off the charts. His incline presses of 5 plates, his flat benches of 6 plates. There are things that I can't touch. There are things that I absolutely cannot do right now. So it's you just have to define it however you want. And if you want to define it as the person who's lifted the most weight, it would be me. If you want to define it as the person who could move the most weight in a variety of ways in a gym setting, then it would probably be Eddie. Also, it probably wouldn't be Eddie because it would probably be a powerlifter of certain sorts. So, the strongest person ever is the best powerlifter ever. Strongest strongman ever is the person who has the strongman world records. To me, that's that. Um, please go ahead and like the video, guys. Okay, would love to see both you and Halfthor go for the 505. Me too. I would absolutely love that. But to my knowledge, he won't come to a Giants live. And if someone has their personal opinions, I would not want anyone to forego their ethics for a record. If he feels he's been wronged and these are the parameters that he set, then I think it is what it is. All things being equal, though, I would prefer Thor's there. You and Eddie have very different training and recovery methodologies. Do you think he got here was because of his methods or in spite of them? No, I think we're just different people. I think we're just very, very different. Psychologically, I love my time away. I love thinking about other things. I like just taking mental breaks from strongman and focusing on strongman when I'm doing it. I don't find it helps me if I obsess about it. But there are other types of people who the obsession drives them more and makes them more into it, where it would just burn me out. So I don't think either of us are doing the wrong things for ourselves. Evidently, we've both made ourselves the most physically capable people to walk the planet, and I don't think you can look at someone who's done that and say that they've made mistakes along the way en masse. Are there things that I can do that would make me better? For sure, and I have to continue to discover those. And are there things that Eddie could have done to make himself better? Potentially, I don't know, but I know that he did his best to cross all his I's and dot all his T's. So I don't think there's a massive, I don't think there's a massive problem with either of the way that we are doing it. Michael, hey Mitch, we have enjoyed UK shipping with several T-shirts, patches, and signed pictures. The tier LHPK T-shirts are of exceptional quality. Yes, thanks for supporting Luke Richardson. Yeah, we have tons of customers from the UK. People do order from the UK all the time, but I understand the prohibitive cost for some people of the shipping. If it costs 30 to 50% of whatever your order was, totally get it. And that's ultimately our problem to solve. But the t-shirts are exceptional quality. I think the sweaters are exceptional quality as well, and that's of utmost importance, that we're not just another strongman brand who screen prints on, Gildan cotton t-shirts. We want our stuff to be good and last a long time, and we wear it as well, so we always want that. In terms of Luke Richardson, I think it's just a bit of a no-brainer. He's a good friend of mine, and if there's a bit we can do to support him, then fantastic. I sent the same offer to Evan Singleton. I just never heard back. I don't think he's checked his messages. Um, but competitors who get injured, that's definitely a cause that would be nice to continue to support, especially when we did the athlete fund and how much that meant to a lot of the guys. Yeah, so we'll continue to do that stuff. And amongst all of the chaos that's happened, we're going to continue to show you guys who we are, time and time and time again, and continue the community that we've built through our own actions. Okay, Mehdi Hashmati, is it really true that if I can dumbbell raise with 45 pounds for one rep, I can bench 315? This proposition, I believe, is true. I put this in one of my recent videos, and it was very, very close. And I wanted to find ways that you could test your bench press max without having to get under a barbell and risk yourself with it. And front raising 45 pounds looks to be the metric by which you'd be able to bench 315. And I'm talking straight arm, raise, control on the way down. It looks like that would be a reasonable, yeah, a reasonable mark. Boots, you visiting South Africa would be amazing. Strongman is gaining popularity, and I'm getting into it myself for juniors. If you visit and have Reno with you, I think you won't have to worry about safety. Yes. The difference is think versus no. I want to know that I do not have to worry. But still, African safari, and it's just naivety and ignorance. It's not that I'm saying I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I don't know, and that's the bit that freaks me out a bit. Right, off topic, but I'm doing my first powerlifting meet in 10 weeks. Do I have time for a few weeks of strength work, or do I start tapering now? No, don't taper until 3 to 4 weeks out. Um, you don't need to drop off all of your accessories and all of your volume and intensity. Um, no, just continue working really, really hard for about 6 weeks before you start easing things off. You shouldn't be feeling burnt out at this stage. You should be feeling pretty fresh. You should be feeling relatively strong, but this is the time to push really hard. So I would I would maybe at 8 weeks start dropping off the things that really don't matter, like say bicep curls, but keep everything in until at least 4 to 5 weeks out from the show. Should you cut down your body fat as a novice strength athlete at 20 plus percent body fat? I would say uh, depends. It depends on your body weight. If you're a lighter guy who is 20 plus percent body fat, maybe like if you're trying to compete in the under 90s or under 80s, getting excess body fat off of you is important. If you're trying to come up into the open weight territory, adding mass is going to be your best friend, and then losing fat when you want to be really good is going to be useful afterwards. You don't have to be lean on the way up, and you have to gain some fat while putting on muscle if you want to do it quickly. So I would say get to the body mass that you kind of want. Don't allow your body fat to go much over 5%, uh, and then start thinking about losing some weight. But to be a great strength athlete, I would say perfect world, you're somewhere between 13% and 25%, and anywhere in there, it comes down to a bit of individual variation. Um, Hey, Mitch, hope all is well. We all know you have the physical capability to do the 505. How or what are you doing for the mental aspect? This is not an uncommon struggle for many. Um, I don't think that I have to do a whole lot other than just get myself in a happier place, generally speaking. Um, and for that, I'm doing therapy. You know, I've started to do some more things that I enjoy. So I've started golfing on a weekly basis again, which I gave up for a couple of years because it didn't help my strongman, and that was unfortunate because that's the thing that I like to do the most. Um, I've started journaling, as I've told you guys about last week. I've started a number of things to try to get my just general mental headspace better. If I lift happy, I'm very good. If I lift upset or angry, I'm just not thinking about it as much as I should be, and I just want to get it over with. So for me, that's it, and that's what I'm doing. I don't need to do visualization. I don't need to do any sort of woo-woo, extraordinary mental things. I just need to be focused and intentional and happy. If I can do that, then I'm in a good spot. All right. Hey, Mitch, I'll be there to watch you lift 505. Any news on how much has been raised for Luke Richardson? News will come out for that very, very soon. It'll be a reasonable chunk. As always, I'll put in some of my own money to help out. But there was some good support for it, as there always is for these things. So it's great to be able to use the LHBK platform to be able to do that type of stuff. And there are obvious wins-wins. The brand gets out there, the business gets out there, but we help in the meantime as well. And to me, that's more important than anything. We could shut the brand, open the brand, whatever. If we're not doing good things in the meantime, then what's the point? Okay, here's an interesting one. As a physical therapist, are there any particular therapies you'd recommend for trying to get his grip back? Um, it's a nerve problem from a car accident. So I don't really know what has gone on, and what the exact nerve problem is, but sometimes it just is what it is. And it's a really strange thing. You don't often see someone with like good grip, really good grip out here, and really poor grip down here. But so much of physical therapy related things are getting back to the function that you're originally at. And that's where your specialty kind of is in the field. Now, to be clear, I have a master's degree in clinical exercise physiology. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist, and that was my distinction. Um, Physical therapist is a commonly used term in America to describe these types of treatments and activities. But anyway, the answer is I don't know. I don't know. I don't have experience in it. It's a very strange, unique thing. There would have to be scans involved. There would have to be a lot of trial and error. And I can only assume that he's tried to do these things. Sometimes nerve damage is nerve damage. Oh, this is why the people who are paralyzed. Simple as that. Christopher, if you couldn't squat, what training would you do to build strength off the floor? Um, Leg press for the deadlift is probably better than squats to build strength off the floor. I think squat is a more transferable for the whole movement, but I think leg press is a very, very good place to start, especially if you want to avoid any axial loading. Oh, is this actually maybe this is actually a thing. Mitchell, stop dragging the bar like a rasp over your shin bone. It makes the lift way more difficult. Use a proper shin sliding surface. I don't know what that is. Shin sliding surface deadlifts. Yeah, you're gonna have to educate me on what a shin sliding surface is. Is there some sort of maybe there's some sort of I don't know shin guard or something? But to be honest, I probably wouldn't use any sort of shin guard. Not because I don't think it's beneficial, but just because I just can't be bothered, if I'm being honest. And I don't think it makes that much of a difference at all. And my shin's bleeding. It's not because it's dragging up my shin. It's because like the bar will knock my shin. And it happens at lighter attempts, not at heavier attempts. When it's slow, it's fine. It's when it's fast and it just a little bit of the knurling nicks my shin. It just takes the skin off. That's why you'll see me bleed from warm-up set number 1 or 2. And then it gets worse as it touches it through future attempts. But that's when I actually open it up, not when I go heavy. Size Manier. Hey, Mitch, I've got a 290 log in USS Strongman Nationals, and I keep getting lightheaded. Any tips on breathing timing to avoid this problem? Thanks. Yeah, the lightheadedness is a really frustrating one for a lot of people. Definitely getting your blood pressure checked is going to be useful. Make sure it's not a medical problem. But there are 2 ways to go about this. Either you breathe in the lap, you clean and press quick, or you can try to get your shoulders like up. So the log is across your collarbones. and off of your neck a little bit. And if it's off of your neck, that's the big problem. If you have it sitting into your carotid arteries, your brain is losing circulation. So one of those two strategies usually work for people. But ultimately, the longer the log sits on your neck, the worse off you're going to be. So if you can train to be very quick from shoulders to your press, that's going to be your most reliable way to avoid the lightheadedness. Just to reiterate here, Jonah, what will you do if Thor gets 505 before World Deadlift Champs? We'll attempt 506, and it's really no different to me. I think if you can deadlift 505, you can deadlift 506. Hater says, I've never been in a deadlift suit before. What brand would you recommend for trying heavy deadlifts? I use the Inzer Max deadlift suit. I really like that one. I've heard good things about the Cerberus, might be Leviathan, but the ones that have like the strings that you can tighten on the side, those can be really useful. So maybe give that a try. The problem with deadlift suits is, though, it's such a big investment. I don't know if you can actually return them. So try your friends' suits if you can, and if they're a similar size. It's a hard thing to do. But to be honest, my Inzer Max deadlift, that's the first one I ever have, the first one I ever had, and that's the only one I've ever used. So I just kind of stuck to it. It worked fine, and I got used to it. But to say that I am an expert on deadlift suits would be completely false. Jody, will straps be allowed on the trap bar deadlift at strongest man on earth? If not, do you expect a huge difference in the winning numbers? Yes, absolutely. I assume straps will be allowed. It would be a kind of a weird test of strength if they weren't. It would just be a grip, solely a grip event. And I don't think that's what he's going for, because there's no other deadlift in the show. And so it would eliminate testing deadlift strength at all. And I don't think Brian would do that. So I assume straps will be allowed. If straps are allowed, based on my deadlift session or my trap bar session from last week, I'm guessing the winning number could be around 1,200, 1,250, completely dependent on height. If straps aren't allowed, you're talking maybe 1,000. Yeah, and Trey Mitchell is probably praying that that straps are allowed, because that would be a catastrophe for him. But you think of the best guys on the trap bar, it'll be Trey, myself, and Lucas Hatton, probably, maybe Austin Andrade. And my grip's pretty good. Austin Andrade's grip's pretty good. Lucas Hatton's grip is all right. But none of us are like a Mark Felix or a Kevin Fairs, where whatever you grab is going to be off the floor. So I hope straps are allowed for the sake of the actual goal of the competition, to find the strongest person. Hey, Mitch, what does your mobility training look like? I generally only have an hour-ish to exercise, so it's hard to work in, though I know it's crucial. It's actually not crucial. It's more important to have the requisite range of motion than it is to focus on your mobility. So if you feel like you can squat and overhead press and do all that without needing to do extra mobility, don't worry about it. Also, on moosecoaching.com, I have a free guide to warm-ups, and this guide to warm-ups will take you through the things that you need to do, and you don't need to do that much, especially if you're feeling good, especially if it's summer, your body feels warm, you're already into the gym with a light sweat. You don't have to worry about it. You can just tick on and get into the gym, get your body generally warm, and go into some lighter warm-ups, obviously. So if you're squatting, do 3 or 4 sets up to your maximal squat or your top set of squats. And according to the research, that's kind of enough. And then your mobility afterwards, it's kind of optional. But if you train through a full range of motion, you will largely get the benefit that you're looking for from any sort of mobility work. In fact, mobility work under load is going to be exponentially more important than mobility work without any load. It's going to last a lot longer. Research indicates that mobility work without load will only last you about half an hour. And this is why people like dancers, they're stretching all day. They don't have one big stretching session. They'll have 20 stretching sessions over the course of the 14 hours or so that they're awake. Pow Body, much love from Finland. Thank you for saving my life, inspiring and motivating the lifestyle change. I pulled 250 kilos after first year at gym last year. That is insane. If you pulled 250 after your first year at the gym, that is wild. I'm happy that I'm some small part of helping you get into the gym and turn your life around. So congratulations on that first and foremost. But if you deadlifted 250 after being in the gym for a year, you probably want to pursue it somewhat seriously. That's a really good number, especially depending on body weight. Andrew, hey Mitch, do you think injectable glutathione is beneficial for recovery as a TRT add-on as a 110 kilo powerlifter? Yeah, glutathione is great. If you want to do it injectable, then fine. It's not necessarily banned by any federations. It's not shown to be adverse for your health. I don't think WADA allows you to inject anything, so just be careful in terms of like the federation that you're in. But if you're in an untested federation, I think glutathione is an absolutely great compound to be using to assist your recovery. It will not be near as useful as your TRT, but it still is a good add-on, as you said. Crazy 10 Bears. Do you bulk and cut like a bodybuilder? You always seem to be around the same weight. Yeah, not really. I find guys who go up and down in body weight a lot tend to get injured a lot more. I will be 320 to 330 pounds basically all year. And part of that is because my food is always consistent. My training is always consistent. And then it's just, eat a bit more into shows, drop volume of training a little bit going into shows. Right now, I'm doing a much higher volume of training, so I'll naturally drop a little bit of weight. But that's about it. Jamie Livingston, that's the name I haven't seen in a long time. Hope you're well, mate. Hey, Mitch, just wanted to say I'm a big fan of your programs. I've added 100 pounds to my squat and deadlifts this year. Looking forward to finding out what my max is. Keep up the great work. Good work, dude. Really good work. Those are huge, huge increases. If you even keep half of that progress up over time, you're going to be in a totally different spot. So congrats. And glad you're enjoying the programs. Here's one, just back to Power Body. That's what LHBK is all about. Absolutely. It's about getting into the gym, feeling comfortable, making the most of whatever you can do. So congratulations on that. Really well done. Zain Hassan. Hey, Mitch, what do you think about the upcoming newcomers? Yeah, look, first and foremost, Rayno Nell, unbelievable performance at World's Strongest Man. Really happy for him. Really, really happy for him. And yeah, I think World's Strongest Man and Rogue Invitational are two shows that will be really good for Rayno. Now, the difficulty for him, and he said this himself, is the top end strength across the board isn't quite there. So something like a Strongest Man on Earth or an Arnold will be more difficult for him, especially an Arnold's or even a Rogue Invitational when we're talking about 5 or 6 events. If you have one weakness in there, it is so hard to make up points. You managed to do it at World's Strongest Man, but it's not a consistent way to win strongman shows. So Strongest Man on Earth will be interesting. I would love to see him top 5 there. I think that would be a really good result for him. And he's got some things that he's unbelievably strong at. Of course, elevated deadlifts and his grip are the two notable ones. But something like overhead pressing, not as strong. It'll be interesting to see what he's like with a heavy sandbag. And deadlifts from the floor, deadlifts without a suit, all of those things I'm not sure. His lower body strength, so his squat strength for something like the trap bar deadlift, to be determined. But regardless, I think he's really exciting. And strongman is certainly deeper than it's ever been. You take the 20th best or the 10th best strongman now, compare them to the 10th best of any era, and they are miles ahead, in my opinion, I think. So I think it's a fun time to be a fan because something like a Rayno Nell coming along is possible. So very, very happy for him and look forward to going head-to-head, especially at Giants. I think Giant shows will be really interesting for him. The pace, I think he'll cope with fine. The weights will be good. So I think we'll have some good battles at Giants as well. I'm currently doing your power building program and started block 2 this week. Feels like I'm having some insane progress. If this continues, I'm going to rep my max at the end of this block. Yeah, look, a lot of this is going to come from your consistency. There's no magic in it, but if you take the education, you take the program, and you implement both of those, it can change your body considerably over time. So congrats on that progress. I'm really happy that you're crushing it. Hey, Mitch, much love, brother. I'm competing in opens this Sunday. I weigh 109 kilos competing with the big boys. I'm outweighed by an average of 40 kilos. Do you have any tips for an edge on the day, please? Um, at this point, what you've done is what you've done. The mental edge that you can have is that as a lighter guy, you're going to be able to handle the entire day better. So you might start a little bit slower, but if you can just stay with it the whole time and your performance at the end of the day can be as strong as it is at the beginning of the day, you're going to be in a really good spot. And if you're able to do that, you should be able to catch guys up in the second half of the competition. So just stay with it. Don't get discouraged. You're going to be outlifted on some events. It's unlikely that you're going to beat everyone on, say, an overhead event. Deadlifts could still be good, but the medleys and speed is where you can pick up points, and your ability to withstand the whole day is where you can pick up points as well. Okay, here's a good question. David COB, hey Mitch, how can I turn your powerlifting program into a 5-day routine? It is a 4-day routine off the top of my head. You can do this in a variety of ways, and to be honest, it matters less than you think. So long as you get in your main work on the big days, I would maybe take the second half of your squat and your deadlift session, and I would just put those as a lower body day on the 5th day and just decrease the volume. But if you keep the same weekly volume, it doesn't make a huge difference how you break it up. Even if you just had last day as an accessory day and had a rest day after, where you did all of your last couple of exercises on that day, no problem with that. $6:05 when, says Ethan. 6:05 will not be for a very long time. Donald, hey Moose, when is the book coming out? What's its structure going to look like? Met you at the Arnold Classic and you crushed it. Book's going to come out. To be honest, I was going to self-publish it. We got the entire thing done, and then we got someone interested in the book that's a very high influence in that world. So we're back to publishing route, and we'll be taking the publishers very soon, and we're very confident that it's going to get a book deal. So that it's going to be able to be in bookstores and on Audible and all that stuff. So major advantages there. I would guess that it's going to be done maybe in Q3 or Q4 of this year. The timeline, it's going to cover a lot of things about the year into winning World's Strongest Man, but also a lot of mental health stuff. I want to be one of the first people to sort of come out and talk about mental health struggles at the same time as accomplishing great things, and not coming out and saying like this is how you cure yourself, and once you're better you can do this. I want to talk about being in the struggle and continuing to do your best and do good enough every day despite the struggle, and still having those struggles that are pretty raw, pretty graphic, pretty intense, and coming out to be able to explain those things, talk about those things, and talk about how I managed to do my best regardless, from an athletic perspective, from a business perspective, from a personal perspective. And yeah, it's going to be very shocking to a lot of people. I think what I've been through, what I put myself through. It's very different tone to sort of the just always happy person that I portray to be. Now, it's not a lie. I generally am really happy. It's just this really strange, like massive juxtaposition of being really generally happy and really engaging in harmful behaviors. So yeah, that's the general gist at the book of the book. And it's a really difficult thing for me to put out, but you know, I think it's going to help a lot of people, and that's what's important. So Q3, Q4 this year, I think. Okay, here's a cool one. Luke says, you mentioned a Moose coaching app a while ago. I see Brian Shaw recently released his coaching app. I'd prefer to use yours. Any update on release? I have a meeting about this in the next couple of days. This is not near as far along as the book, and it's not going to be a coaching app. My programs will be integrated into it, and so you can get programs on there, and that's fine. But what I want to do is I want to develop an AI that basically has me in your pocket. So even if you have a coach, you're able to ask questions on the spot about exercises, technique, your program, rest times, nutrition, whatever, and you'll just get like an instant response from me on what I would say in that app. So I want it to be an addition to your current training, not just another coaching app with another set of exercises. There are too many people who just go to a third party. The third party imports all of these random routines. I don't think it adds a huge amount of value. So I want to do something a little bit different that you can use on top of having a strongman coach. DJ, Mitch, have you got a dark place to tap in? Curious, like Eddie had using his pinch. I don't do well when I go to dark places. I don't tend to want to do things when I'm in dark places. I tend to want to just kind of crawl away. It doesn't bring out the best in me. So I want to go to happy places. I want to think about the things that make me really happy. And if I can do that, that's how I'm going to perform my best. Here's a good one. Kiffer Scott. Hey, Mitch, hope all is well. What makes the Royal Albert Hall so special to you? If you're in there, you kind of get it right away. Like, it is such a cool place. It's I don't know. It's just like strongman shouldn't be in there. Sort of. It looks like regal old time strongman. Like the Queen should be in there, not a strongman show. So there's that bit. It was also my first Giants live show, my second pro show ever. The first one where something was expected of me. I performed relatively well. It was my first podium ever. The crowd noise is insane. Just everything about it is so special. And everyone who goes there says the same thing, that the Royal Albert Hall is the best strongman show of the year. And 100% I believe that, and I mean that. And if you can get to the Royal Albert Hall, please do. It's sold out this year, but if you can go next year, it's an event I don't think I'll ever be able to miss so long as I'm in the sport. It's just such a special evening for me. All right, last one here. Does your success at strongman combined with putting up numbers that are in the ballpark of strong mass monsters like Thor, Brian, and Eddie, calling into question the value of being physically heavy? It sort of calls it into question in its necessity, but Brian and Thor, at the height that they were, are not that different weight to me. So let's say Thor at 420 pounds at 6'9". If you want to say roughly 10 pounds per inch of height, I'm 6'3". That means he's got 6 inches on me. So it's more like 325, 330, and 360. Like, we're looking at a 30-pound difference because it's thickness of muscle, not total size of muscle. If you're taller, you have to be heavier to lift the same amount of weight. I would say yes. It calls into question in a small way, but it's not calling it into question like I'm 250 pounds and can do this. In the end, you still have to be a very large human being to move very large weights. I just happen to be amongst some extremely large human beings. But Martins Lisa's called into question the same. So did Alexei Novikov. So does Rain O'Neill now. There are a lot of people who are heavy but not insanely huge who move huge weights as well. And I think that's the direction the sport is going to go. More athletic, larger people than just as big as you could possibly get. So that's that. Let me just check if there are any other super chats. Here, I've answered this a couple of times, but what if Thor pulls 5'10"? What if Thor pulls 5'50"? Whatever he pulls, I suppose we put 1 extra kilo on the bar and I give it my best crack, because in the end, we got to try a world record. That's the whole point of being there. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Please go ahead and like the stream if you haven't already. I will be back on Friday. Very likely there's going to be another live training session. Until next time, lift heavy and be kind. Thanks, guys. We'll